Oh, what are we doing today? Dale's going to be quiet. That's
Are
what we're doing today.
All right. Well, we're gonna have MPB office hour. So thanks for the intro, Joy. I appreciate that. So welcome everyone. It's September 9th. We are excited for a couple of reasons. One, we're finally going to get back on track with our first and third Friday schedule that I know has been painful for a lot of the participants. We're going to be skipping the second meeting of September due to Dreamforce and all the things. So we'll see you on the 7th of October for our next meeting. But in the meantime, that doesn't mean that we can't all help each other. Make sure that you use our Twitter handles if you need something for each of the co-hosts, but use the success community to make any posts that you could use some help on right now as far as support, service information, etc. Like I said, the next call is on the 7th. In the meantime, just as always, as a reminder, we want everyone to participate as best they can, share your experience, share your insights, share your knowledge. We all get smarter together. Feel free to post links and resources in the chat. We'll transfer them over to the slide deck. If you do have a question, feel free to post it in the chat or put your hand up and we'll keep track of everyone that's there and try to get to them as quickly as we can. And lastly, and most importantly, remember that we are recording. And so if you can't or shouldn't be sharing anything online or you can't be recorded, please keep that in mind. In the meantime, use either a sandbox or mask data. Try not to display anything that's production that could be considered a risk. Otherwise, we're happy to help in any way we can. As far as upcoming events, most people take off September because of Dreamforce, because it's here. It is 20th. If you're going, hope to see you there. If not, please watch it on Plus. In the meantime, the next couple of Dreaming events happen in October. North Africa Dreaming and Florida Dreaming are coming up. I believe Florida Dreaming is in person, just like a lot of the majority of local events, but keep an eye on there. You can get to them from the community conferences link in Trailhead. And with that, unless I missed anything, there were no emails or questions in Success in the last 2 weeks. So the floor is open to anyone who has a question, concern, idea, problem, discussion, you name it, we're here for you. And Dale and I were discussing that the release notes went like they weren't in preview as of Monday, I believe. So if there's anything even in the release notes you want to talk about, there's plenty to cover. So let us know. Long CPU question. Ernesto, we can always count on you to make us regret letting you into the room. So why don't we start with you? Why don't we start with you? That's a good one. Question out there, and we'll see if anybody can help.
All right, so I don't know if anyone knows CPQ here.
Joy's an expert.
Who? Oh, nice. Hey guys.
I did take the class, but that was over a year ago. And if you don't use that, it's just gone.
Yeah, so it's probably gone. I'm going to share my screen because I was trying to prepare something easy to understand. But we'll see about the easy part. So share screen. Screen one. Okay, sounds good. What else do I have to click? Oh my goodness. Can you guys see chat? No. Okay, got it.
There
okay, there you go. Can you see my Excel?
Yes.
Perfect. So let me go through this real quick. So what I'm trying to do is we are getting CPQ. So now we're running into an issue where our products have dependencies, meaning there are many components and there are many dependencies. So one component doesn't fit with the other. So we have to make sure that we're saying, hey, if you select this, then you cannot have this other one, or you can have only this one. But we are used to writing not CPQ way. So what I'm trying to explain here, so I have a computer, for example, and I have many components to the computer or products in CPQ terms. So I have a monitor, I have desktop, I have a hard drive, I have video card, I have mouse and keyboard. Okay, this is a simplified version. So I have three kinds of models of monitors. I have two desktops, three hard drives, three video cards, two mouse, one keyboard. Okay. So my case will be, okay, so if you select desktop 2, then you can only have video card 2. Okay. We good so far? I know it's not mind-blowing. In CPQ, the way that I understand it is I have to say I have a dependencies constraint part section where I can say this component, this value, then depends on what you select. So the video card 2 depends on the desktop 2. So now if you select desktop 2, you can only have video card 2. Great, that works. Now I have another case where it's already start falling apart because it's a one-to-one relationship in CPQ so far that I know of. But if I select desktop 1, then I can select out of 2 video cards only out of 3. So now this becomes, you know, if I select desktop 1, it's great. And I can only have video card 1 or 2. To write this in CPQ, as far as I know today, is you have to write, if it's desktop 1, you can have video card 1, great. And then if you have, and then another row where you say if it's desktop 1, you can have video card 2. But the way I write the logic is like this. Sorry, it's case 2. So what happens here now, if I want to write the logic as an instruction to the person that does the configuration in CPQ, I will need to duplicate this line and separate the video card option. So I have to do this. Right there. So what happens is, you know, currently I have cases written down where if is this component and this component, then you can only have a hard drive or mouse and keyboard. So it's like only one row instead of having one by one. So my question was, can I do this case in one line in CPQ versus creating 2 records? So that's if it makes sense. So what happens here is dependencies. There is a constrainer and there's a constraint, whatever, the driver and the driven. So if you select desktop 1, then you can have video card 1 and 2. Okay, so to write this in CPQ, I can only do it this way. I have to do, again, another line, EC2. I'm gonna say my question one more time because it's kind of hard. Can I just write this instead?
So Ernesto, can you remind me if when you create these constraints, aren't they records themselves? You're linking product to product?
Yeah, so yeah, they're the records itself. The only problem is that I can only select one component value, so one value for the constrainer and the constraint. I don't remember how to say it, but yes.
I'm with you, right? Okay. So let's pretend for example, like let's go back to your desktop 2 example. So in theory, you'd have a desktop 2 and a video card 2, but you'd also have a desktop 2 and an HD 2 and a desktop 2 and a mouse 2. Like you'd have all those comparators, right?
Yeah.
But because it's very straightforward, like A only gives you a B and a C and a D. My understanding is that it's built the way that you thought, which is you have to do desktop 1 with HD1 and a desktop one with HD2 and a desktop one with HD3. I think you have to do that because you are effectively creating a joiner object that does the validation for you.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to do it that way. But I'm trying to remember almost a year back, just like Joy said about those constraints. They're intended to be that way because now you can also insert or remove pairings way easier, right? Like right now you're trying to make it easy to set up, but then as soon as you need to add video card 4 to one or more, or take video card 1 out one more times, it actually is harder now.
Yeah.
Because you're basically evaluating code versus individual records. I think you're doing it the right way, but is there any CPQ like real timers that can validate that?
Yeah, what I wanted to do is have multiple at the same row.
And I just don't think it's intended because of the complexity. Like you might have 20 columns to that table you have on the page here.
Yeah.
And every one of those columns could have multiple constraints. And like if you could write it like a formula, that's great to start, but really hard to
maintain.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, because we have this issue today, and the way that we have it's all custom. We have kind of like a version of CPQ that it was developed custom for us. So now we're really trying to get to Salesforce out of the box and CPQ out of the box.
Yep.
But the dependencies were written all nested with multiple components and cases. So you can have like, if it's this and that and that and this and that, then you now have like 10 components up, multiple values that you can do all in one row, which is a huge row already. The problem is our products are very complicated. And we already have like, even with this nested part, we have like hundreds of lines of dependencies for one product. So now I have to split all of those in one. So if I have 100 and I have 20 products, with each of them might have like 4 or 5 or 10 values, that's all multiplying.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 200, but it's actually thousands.
Yep.
Because we also then have colors. We didn't even touch the colors.
Yeah. Yeah, you get like the multi pairings, right? Instead of just A and B, it's A and B and C, right?
Yeah. Because now we have like the desktop. It's the desktop 1, 2, and 3. That's the easy part. But then you can have a black, a white, a natural, a purple.
I mean, and so Joy and Dale both posted links. I'm sure you've been through the configurator documentation 100 times, but it does.
I have consultants.
Oh,
I have CPQ consultants that they, they keep telling me, no, you have to do it one by one. Yeah. And I keep telling them, if I do it one by one, it's going to take me 8 months.
Well, you can load it. You could build it in Excel and load it.
Yeah, so in Excel, I have to break it down first.
True, but it's easier than writing individual records, right? I mean, you can manage it better.
Yeah, I can load it, yes. But I have to break down all those nested if statements.
Yep.
I think that's like the hardest part about setting up CPQ is that initial setup, right? And it's so like, it's so customer heavy, like for you, because your consultants can't do it for you, right? It's not like you can just be like, here, do it, because they're not going to know.
Yeah.
Well, and can I just add one more thing too? Like, just because they're a consultant doesn't mean they know everything.
Right.
And so sometimes consultants only know as much as we do. So push back.
Yeah,
right?
I've been pushing.
Yeah. I mean, like back to like the CPQ success group, or to a product owner, or to like find someone that isn't your consultant and ask the same question, because you might get a different answer.
I'll do that. Yeah, thank you. That's a good point. So the other questions.
The consultants don't know everything, right?
Yeah.
One of the things in the document that I shared is it's got like value 1, comma value 2, comma value 3 equals value 1, right? And so I don't know the answer to this, but it seems like there's a way to do that. I just don't know.
Yeah, I have to look at, that's what I was looking for. Okay.
Yeah. So those are all the
So
words, right?
What was
yeah,
that?
Those are all your or like logic.
Mhm. Yep.
me.
Yeah, when using constraint groups, that's what that.
Oh yeah, so the groups, yes. So that's what we were talking about this morning. It's like, oh, we can group them together, but I still don't know how it works. Okay, so this is an article that I was looking for. Great.
It's a
Um,
start.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we'll end up going the long way.
Yeah.
It's just, we're at a point where we're doing the project that we need the file configuration to be templated, right? But yeah, that will take me hours just to do one product. Okay.
I feel like, isn't there a normal attendee that's a big CPQ user? Does anybody remember?
I do believe you're correct. I don't remember who it is.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I've got people in my back pocket that I could like poke at and say, hey, check this out, answer the question and send Ernesto a note, but I don't know if they're going to be available.
I'll read this through. I like a list that you can have multiple values because that will be helpful. But we'll see. We'll see how it translates. Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks. I'm gonna need it.
All right. I didn't see anything else in the chat. Does anybody else have anything?
Is CPQ a product? What is it called now?
It's part of billing, right? Oh, you're on mute, Ernesto.
It's revenue something.
Revenue, right?
Revenue Cloud.
Revenue Cloud. There you go. Yeah.
All right. All right. So let's.
Yeah. Nope. I'm gonna shut up now.
No. That's the trailhead. That's a link to the primary Salesforce Revenue Cloud group in the chat.
Yeah. Thank you.
Uh,
Take a look at all that.
ooh.
Ooh,
Straight with
HubSpot.
HubSpot questions.
Back-to-back HubSpot.
We got HubSpot last week.
Yeah.
Hi, I have a question related to the HubSpot. I joined this company 3-4 months before, and they had a previous Salesforce admin, and she did a HubSpot integration. She created a custom field, country HubSpot, in Salesforce, and mapped that country HubSpot, and they integrate through the connector, and the connector is in the HubSpot. So they, in the HubSpot, they integrate that country HubSpot field, like map country to country HubSpot. So, but like that country HubSpot is creating a lot of issues because previously in our form, we don't have a state mentioned, then now we mention the state, but like it's causing all mapping issue. So my question is, do we really need that, the country HubSpot field, or we just map it with the address field, whatever it's on the lead object?
So there's not a country on the HubSpot address that could be mapped, like a standard country.
No, they just have, I think so, they have it. They have something in the country, but I really don't know that why then they created in the Salesforce the country HubSpot. But like, and that is creating a lot of issues. So like I'm thinking, if I just map that country, and like we have a country and state pick list is enabled in our Salesforce. So if we map that country to the country in HubSpot, should it work, or we have to create that the custom country HubSpot pick list in the Salesforce to map that?
So Salesforce state and country pick lists, that's a finite set, right? Like you
Right.
can't. So, I mean, HubSpot is not a platform product. So if that list of countries is also finite, but like USA versus U.S.A. You're gonna have your differences there, which then, yeah, you would probably need a custom field so that you can customize those options to map back to state and country pick list. But that's just an assumption. I've never actually worked with HubSpot to know, but that would be my gut feeling.
Yeah, the state country pick list reference, I'm with you, Dale. It is a distinct list. You can't, it's not, it's controlled, right? So if you tried to add a value that doesn't exist, it won't save it. So I'm certain that they don't validate. HubSpot's allowing you to put anything you want to in city, state, country, whatever, and it has to go somewhere. So that's what that field's for, I bet.
Then how I will, like, if, let's say, if we are not removing that country HubSpot, then how I will handle the state field? Because we don't have any custom state field in the, on the lead object. So
Sure.
should I create one more state field on the
So,
lead?
sorry, would you ask the first part again?
So basically, we map country with a country HubSpot, but we don't have any for the state field. But we need a state field as well, like let's say the USA. So because our territories is based on the state, so let's say USA, so California. So we need that to assign the territories in Salesforce. So we need a country field as well. So should I create the custom, sorry, not the country, the state field. Should I create the custom state field also to map that?
I think that would depend on if the state values in both systems match or not. Because you said you inherited this from a previous admin, right?
Yeah, and she has created a lot of things, but like they started the connector as well, but they had some issue and the leads were not assigning, and I'm working on that assignment part. But when I assigned through the state level, but then again, the state field is causing an issue because we don't have the state field. So these are not assigned according to state.
So I think, Dale, what you're saying though is like if the HubSpot state field is controlled to be a 2-character field, then you can guarantee it matches the state field for the state pick list in Salesforce. Now you don't have a data discrepancy.
Right.
Potentially, very potentially, yeah. And was that due diligence already performed by the previous admin?
But on the country side, if it's just like a text string on HubSpot, you have no way of ensuring that the way that they're entering on the HubSpot side matches the state country pick list configuration you have on the Salesforce side.
Yes.
So, I mean, you'd have to do a little bit of data validation to see, is there controls on the HubSpot side to ensure that there's a one-to-one match. If there isn't any controls, then you'll probably need to have a custom field just like you did for a country in order to be able to store that value.
Okay. I got it.
Yeah, I think there's a little discovery to do yet.
Yeah, that was my assumption. I tried in my sandbox, but still I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And that is already connected with the prod. So HubSpot is already connected with the prod. So they don't really want to try test in the sandbox, and like in the production, it is scary.
I mean, the safest bet would be to create another custom field, but now you're creating tech debt and work to say, well, now it's in field A and you need to put it in field B. Who's going to do that? But you could definitely map it to a text string, and then at least you know the data is coming in. But
okay. Okay, yeah.
Keep us
I
posted.
think I should try. Yeah, I'll post it. Thank you so much.
Those country and state pick lists, I feel like if they're turned on when you start, it's great. If you try to turn it on when you're already running, it's a giant project, and trying to do anything with it after it's already, it's, I think it's got its pros and cons. And I think that there's a lot of folks that struggle with all of it, especially, humans who seem to not be able to key in values that exist. But make up your own states. It's all right. It's all right. Any other questions? What do we got?
Yeah, Diane had one. If we're good with Vinita.
Or no, Diane was responding. I think Rochelle is next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Rochelle.
I don't know if it's really even a question, more of a something I have to get off my chest, and maybe somebody can talk me off the ledge. We are in the middle of doing an integration, and I've been told by the company who's doing our integration that we have to greatly reduce the amount of characters that we have in 3 fields of our opportunity. We have custom field for our opportunity products, customer item number, customer description, and something called line description. In the past, our system was completely opened up, meaning each field had no character count. People were able for the last 11 years basically to type literally volumes of information in these fields, when in fact all it required was, the customer ordered a package, it's a blue 12-ounce bottle. Instead, our users would go 12-ounce high-density polyethylene bottle made of plastic with the neck finish and the size and all this other useless nonsense that they would put into the actual opportunity, as though they were giving instructions on how to make the bottle rather than just calling it out. Now I've been asked, in order for the integration to work properly, that these fields have to match from Salesforce into Sage. So we're going from 255 characters down to 30. And when I have a developer in India that I work with, when I talked to him about how do I go about that, he gave me some create a spreadsheet and then do a character count and then abbreviate this. And I'm like,
So
that's going to take me forever.
well, I think there's something to that, right? Like you can evaluate what kind of volume you're looking at.
Okay.
Because when it comes down to it, you might find that it's 2% of your total records that need to be condensed, and maybe the project isn't as terrifying as you're making it sound. But it is a big project, and there's a lot of ways you can go about it. You can truncate the whole thing, and then that's what goes over into Sage, which is terrible because you're going to lose things. But you could also export the whole thing so that you have it, make sure you keep it. But yeah, the fields have to match, don't they?
Yep.
Well, and I would say you're going to take a backup of your data anyway. That's just good best practice for any kind of integration, migration, whatever. Keep a backup in case anything goes south. But so if I understand this correctly, you're being told you have to reduce these character counts because you're migrating to Sage?
No, we're actually integrating with Sage, our Salesforce. So the 2 fields must match exactly.
Gotcha.
And like I stated, some of these fields have been kind of a free-for-all,
Right.
where they have hundreds of characters, and I've been asked, like one of the fields, 2 of the fields that are in particular aren't too bad. One of them was I have to reduce it down to 30 characters, and I think right now it's made up to 80. I'm okay with that, but some of them are literally like hundreds of characters because they were, basically created as long text fields where people just typed all kinds of stuff in there. I do plan on having a backup created of everything, so I have that in my back pocket. I guess my question is that there really isn't much of a question. Is there maybe a way that I could do like a pop-up field that had the previous information? Because again, one of the things that we do here, this is going to affect about 1,000 open orders.
So what? I don't know. You guys check me at the door if you think I'm out of line here. But if you want to retain the data in Salesforce,
Yes.
right? And you also need to like reduce the characters for this field so that they can be mapped correctly.
Yes.
I really like, this gives me the like icky feelings because it doesn't feel like best practice at all. But as a way to work around what you're dealing with is like create a new field that is still open, but read only for your users, and data load this existing field into the new field, like the existing data into the new field. So it's there. And then you put the restraints on the new field. So it's only 30 characters, only 50 characters going forward. And you can truncate that, whatever you need to do. But then they can only, they can read what was there, but going forward, they're only going to have that 30 character. They just won't get all of that new stuff in the new system.
Well, and so
I actually like that. I like that suggestion a lot. I did that with another field.
I mean,
with this integration.
I'm really not crazy about it, but because you're creating a field that is really just going to like sit there and hold the same stuff. It's not going to update if anyone makes any changes to the integrated field, right? It's going to be like, this is what it was on this date. Like as of this date, this is what this said. And all the new stuff shouldn't talk to that field.
Or I have a slightly different idea. So first is a question. Can you reduce the size of a field that already has records populated beyond that new limit? Because I swear, like this feels like Sinbad syndrome, where
I think there's going to be an error. I think
it is an error. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I went ahead and I reduced the fields, thinking going forward, the person, if they start typing a book in there, they would get an error. Unfortunately, it affects all of the open orders.
Can we do a character count on like a character count validation rule? Is that something? Is that even something?
On a 255
Yes.
and less? Yes. And so that can actually be kind of related to my next question. Is I like your idea of the second field, Joy, but instead of a read only, is it a formula field that just looks for the first 30 characters or something, and that's what integrates?
I like that workaround also.
So I have a question that I think is maybe the bigger question. So you're connecting to Sage from a custom field, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you should be able to do whatever you want to that field for the integration.
Okay.
So you should be able to send a trim version of that field to the integration endpoint. Your developer should be able to say, just send the first 60 of any text string.
Oh, you're so smart, Squire.
Yeah, even better.
But I want to go one step back. So I want to ask you the question, why are you sending a field that doesn't mean anything to the integration? Do you need to have a conversation about what is that field intended to do? Does it need to continue to do that? And what are we trying to send to Sage? Maybe you're sending the wrong field to Sage. Because if you just send 30 characters that starts with, I think I should send, and that's all you send them, it doesn't do anything for you. So like pull back. Don't solve the problem of this field won't go, the square peg won't go in the round hole. It's, is the square peg the peg I'm supposed to be sending? Should we make the square peg round and then worry about how we send it to Sage?
Gosh, you're so smart. You're making me all like queasy here. You're absolutely 100% right. The problem I have with this, what we're doing is, it's basically we took a broken process, and instead of fixing it, we're just going to dump it into Sage. And it's been a project that our integration should have been done in 2 months, and we are going on a year and a half because they want to basically replicate what they've had in the past. Even if it was wrong, even if it didn't make sense, they want that process. And it's been an uphill battle. You're absolutely right that the field shouldn't go into Sage because it's all a bunch of nonsense.
The only question I have is kind of like, what are you going to do moving forward? Let's say you have all this, then is that field used? Has to be used, right?
Yeah. What it is that field goes onto the purchase order. So we manufacture packaging, and then it goes over to the purchase order to the plant. And for some reason, 20 years ago, somebody thought it would be a great idea, instead of just putting like a bottle code or product code that basically says this bottle is this code is this bottle.
Yeah.
They actually have a description, like I said, of how the
Okay.
bottle is made, what the size of the bottle, and they put that on a purchase order, which
Yeah.
I have never seen in my life. I mean,
It's-
usually, you know,
It's funny because my company is probably doing the same thing in other systems, which I would
Yes.
run into. So yeah, I think that's it. You just have to watch out what you're going to use it for next, because it's going to
Yeah.
be 30 characters. If they want to write a book, that will not work. So they
Yeah.
have to adapt to the new.
They have to adapt. Tell you this particular group. I mean, not only are they not very tech savvy, they did a lot of really crazy things using their Salesforce, and they don't want to move forward. And it's been a very difficult thing. I've only been here for about a year and a half, and it is like, you know, you keep hitting the wall with, why can't I have 300 characters to explain it's a blue bottle, you know? And my whole thing is, I'm bitching now to bitch, is like, I keep going, it's just like a VIN number in your car. That 16-digit number tells everybody, the state, the dealership, the owner, this is a blue Ford car, 2-door passenger, you know, I mean, that VIN number has a lot of information that you don't have to type it out. Oh, the 4-door sedan, blah, blah, blah. You know, we should be doing the same thing, but unfortunately they like these big descriptions. And now that we're actually integrating with Sage and not typing, we used to manually type all of our purchase orders.
Would the help text on this field say, hey, keep it brief, Shakespeare?
Well, I like the idea of having required character counts, and I put in a value in there.
Yeah, and
Which-
the message, right? Like the message that pops up can be like, whoa, you got a lot to say. Maybe this is an email. I don't know. Like,
Yes, yeah,
you know, and validation rules, I know Dale hates them. But I think that if you incorporate some like gentle humor, and that cannot be like perceived as snarky, it's really helpful, and definitely like encourage your users to do things the right way.
yeah.
Um,
You know, Joy, I'll tell you something. I really do like the text as a read-only help box, only because it captures the information, but it doesn't belong in that field. Or make another field that is mapped to Sage, that is the first 30 characters. I think those might be two options I could bring to the team and see which one works.
Right. And with that validation rule, like look at I like to put when you're adding something new that's going forward, right? To say like created date is greater than when you started the thing. So you don't make your old records cry. But you have a big project ahead of you. But also I would definitely look at your data and see how many records you're talking about.
Yeah, I right now the list I have is a little over 1,000 open orders that I would have to adjust that are actually in the pipeline, and then going forward.
Well, right, you have 1,000 open orders, but how many of those open orders go beyond the character limit?
All of them.
Okay.
All of them. And the thing is that our company does about 80%. I'd probably even up that. I'd probably say more like 85% of cloned orders. So once that somebody orders the package, it's just every time they order it, it's a clone, and all the customer service department does is change the delivery date and the PO number. So they've been very babied in a way to just kind of just constantly just hit clone. And my thought, because I've been through it with my other company, cloning is a great tool that requires a lot of what's the word? What's the thing that Spider-Man says? Great power is great responsibility. because you
yeah,
can
so
clone.
take away the clone button and then
Clone's a great idea for accounts and contacts that are going to be largely static over time. If you're cloning transactions like cases or opportunities or leads, you have a problem. You will
Yes.
have a problem, especially when users don't know how the process works, nor should users know how a process works, because if a user has to know how the process works, you have a terrible process. So rip the clone button off as soon as you can.
and then the new stuff is going to get easier because they're not going to run into that validation rule when they clone.
Yeah.
So it's
So I do have one more question though, because like you used, and I know you're frustrated, so I'm gonna use your words against you a little bit, Rochelle.
Okay.
But if they're difficult users, change management is painful. So I would like to ask one more follow-up question, and I liked your VIN number summary. So the field that you're mapping to in Sage,
Yes.
what is it supposed to do? Not what are you making it do? What field are you mapping to and why?
Okay, that's a great field. That's a great question. Item number, customer item number needs to be appearing on the purchase order. So it should just be basically whatever the customer calls this particular item, we need to have it referenced on our purchase order. One of the things that we do that's very unique is that we use the customer's item number to identify packages because they are custom made to that customer.
Okay.
Okay, so sometimes you do have customers who get a little lengthy on their customer item number. That really isn't as much of an issue for me. The fact that the one thing, that line description has been kind of bastardized into making it as not just a description of what the product is, but how to make the product.
Sure.
And like I said before, we used to manually type this information on the purchase order. However, I have never worked at an organization that the guy on the line is looking at a purchase order and go, oh, I'm supposed to use this color blue to make this bottle, to make this, people in manufacturing don't need a book on identifying what bottle, what mold to use. They want a mold number. This is a classic example of giving too much information.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. And for some reason, they want it on the purchase order, which I think is really, I've been fighting this for over a year. I'm like, the purchase order, other than the reference of what it is to the customer and how much it is and all that, that's all they care about. They don't need to have all this technical information on the diameter, the neck size, the finish, this, that. And I think it's just one of those things that in the last 20 years of this company that somebody started and they just haven't stopped. The only thing, yeah.
And so, I guess why I asked the question is because this description field that's on, I think you said your opportunity, that you're trying to map to this.
Yes.
This field on Sage, which is generating the purchase order, right?
Yes.
So I think you should be asking the question back to whoever's making the decisions that why is that field on the purchase order? Like, what is it supposed to do? Like, I'll use your VIN number explanation in the definition. Like, if it's supposed to say some like details about this opportunity, then let's create a field on the opportunity that does that. And we're going to map that to the PO. We're not going to put the text field on it. There's risks, there's gaps, there's no value. There's like, you can list out all the things that you've kind of described to us.
Hold on, I thought
what you should have on the PO. And then you don't have to make a change management process of, hey, I know you've been using a long text field for the last 20 years to fill these things in. That hasn't changed. You can type whatever Jules Verne version of Cliff Notes you want to in here, but what we're sending to Sage is this because it represents what we want it to represent.
But I thought the problem was that long arbitrary spewing of characters was the product code.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is like decide something else is the product code, not a long.
Which is a whole new data definition.
Which is changing the process, Squire.
Yeah. So basically, we're giving the plant several pieces of identification information on the purchase order, such as customer item, what is it, the customer calls it. We also put in this product description, which is the mold number, and again, it's a unique code for the product.
Mm-hmm.
Those fields are basically manageable. It's this line description that they want on the purchase order that is, sometimes I've seen it, it's like literally 600 characters long. It's a description of how to make the bottle. And for some reason, that's where my issue is going to be, is that I don't believe it belongs on the purchase order. It could be as an attachment to the purchase order, but it doesn't go into Sage. It could be like something that we reference, like on a cover letter or a letter or something like that. But the field for Sage should be a unique description of the bottle, which probably is going to end up being like high density polyethylene blue 8-ounce bottle. So they have these other pieces of information that are unique to that bottle. They don't need a text field that explains how to make it.
Yep, I think we're
Does that
saying
make
the same
sense?
thing. I think you need to push back on that. Dave, Dale's been trying to get in. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Like if you picture my fingers as columns of information as the data points,
Yes.
they're all valuable, but they're living in the wrong columns.
Yeah.
Got to get them shifted over.
Exactly. And and again, it's you guys are helping me try to think of different ways of doing it. They used to have a field, an address field that was just a long text field with city, state, zip. And what I did is I actually had to, because Sage requires that each one of those fields are separate, unique fields for an address. So what I did is I did actually go ahead and create a field that is a read only. So meaning the customer service department, doesn't have to look it up. They could see it, what it used to be. And they just have to either they could cut and paste the type in there, or they could just use it as a guide and type it in. So I'm going to give them a couple of different options here on how to basically do it. But I think my number one idea is the line description that is a book is now going to be a new field. And the other field is just going to be a read-only field that they can look at and reference, but it's not going to be on the Sage PO. Does anybody on this call have any sort of experience with Sage? No? Okay. No, I was just curious. Like I said, we've been working on this for over a year and a half, and it's not a really difficult integration on paper, but it's been causing all kinds of weird things that have been, we've been having to address. And as a Salesforce admin, I don't have a whole lot, we don't have a real developer. I have a guy out in India that I call once in a while for things, but it's been a very, very, let me put it, it's been a real rough time here. So
I don't have an answer on that one.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the collaboration here, because I don't have anybody to talk to.
Well, and I would definitely say report back as time goes on. I mean, this is not going to be a one-day project for you. So keep coming back, and if we can incrementally help you, that's what we're here for.
I appreciate it. It was Ernesto who invited me, and I'm so glad that I took him up on on the offer, because this has been like really, really, yeah. He is.
Thanks, Ernesto.
Thank you.
Oh yeah,
Ernesto.
I'm glad you're here.
I am too. And you guys don't charge me by the hour to talk to you, so that's even the best thing. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate all the information as well as the recommendations.
You should be charging us, because we're not doing our regular work to do this. So this is like a relief.
Right.
I'll have to remember that. Maybe I'll bake you guys some cookies one day or something. Okay.
Rochelle, thanks so much. I think there's a lot of folks that come to this call because they're in a position where they are maybe the only person who speaks Salesforce at their company, or they have very limited Salesforce speaking colleagues. And so that's what we're here for. We're here to help kind of extend your network and help you, feel like you're not alone. This is where I turned to when I was all alone at a previous job. And Dale, I can't even begin to thank you, because
Right.
Marty's been on like every call since I started coming also. So There's
I was 6 years as a solo admin, so I got to thank Jared and Josh Hoskins and Jackie and Deepa and all them. So there's always someone
Wow.
before whoever you're about to thank. So
yeah.
yeah.
That is awesome. I came from a very large organization, international company where we had a whole group of people, and now I'm all by myself, and
Mhm.
it's tough because some of the things that I've been asked to do are so totally out of the admin realm of what I used to do. You know, so it's been a really difficult transition, but also it's sometimes exciting when I actually create something and I go, it works. By God, it works. You know, and I didn't blow
Absolutely.
anything up. So thank you.
Definitely.
Are you? By the way, are you all in Wisconsin?
Nope.
Nope. Oh,
Squire's trying to speak for all of us.
Just me. Just me.
that's you. Well, Ernesto is too.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was just
okay.
gonna ask if you attend any of the user groups.
I have not. I took this
On
job
you.
in the middle of COVID.
Shame on you. We have had a
Virtual meetings.
call at Madison and Milwaukee since March of 20?
And Chicago since
And
2020.
Chicago?
Yeah,
There
almost
are,
every month.
yeah,
Yep.
there are so many people that want to help you. You should be joining those meetings too, because
I will. I definitely I'm definitely have to get on it. I'm north of Chicago. I'm kind of right between Chicago and Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have an actual group. We have one
We're virtual, Rochelle.
yes.
We're virtual.
Yeah. But I don't belong
any of them.
anyplace.
You can go to any of them.
Yeah, I will. I will definitely join the call. I know before COVID, there was always these meetings for the western suburbs of Chicago that they would invite. You know, they would have all kinds of events and things like that. But I will definitely look into the virtual because I could.
I'm at those
really
too.
Yeah. So that's
Oh,
awesome.
you kids are so silly. Don't be shy. Come say hi.
That'd be awesome. Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
All right. What else is going on?
Nothing else came up, but that doesn't mean that someone doesn't have a thought, an idea, a comment.
Oh no, don't leave the group. Hold on. I was getting the link for my Chicago group. And the link is so crazy. Why is the link so crazy?
That's a really good question.
I mean, it's really crazy right now. And Dale and Square, I'm gonna see, you guys should throw your groups in the middle of this mix also. Because y'all are welcome all the time to the virtual meetings. And if you really want to come out to the in-person meetings, that's on you. I can't help you with travel.
Well, I just requested to join, so
And definitely
thank you, Joy.
Yes.
sign up on the bevy groups too, because then you'll get the notifications of meetings and RSVPs and stuff too. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, I don't think I have the bevy on this computer.
Did you just say you don't have it on this computer?
I don't have the bevy password saved on this computer, so getting into that is, yeah. I don't know what they are. Like I have them saved on the other computer.
There's this thing called the cloud.
No, no. The computer I'm on right now doesn't talk to the cloud that I have for the other stuff.
I mean, literally, if you just do that, you can search for any of the regions, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
I don't think I have the bevy.
I'm working on getting Kansas City's. It's under new management. Well, not new management, handed off management, but Kansas City is there as well.
Dale is what we call an executive sponsor of the Kansas City user group now.
It means I put myself out to pasture. I show up for the board meetings and
Yeah, it's all good. No other questions. We just have folks to come and chat with us. Marty, how are things going? You're muted. There you
Good,
go.
yeah, good. Thank you very much. We thank you, Dale.
I love it. Is anyone's first meeting today by Ernesto?
Office hours, you mean?
Yeah. Anyone here, is it their first time at MVP office hours?
Has anybody tried to do the, the preferences, what do they call this? The prioritization yet of the email that just came out today for your choices?
Choices
For this.
for what?
For
Are you talking about like idea
enhancements,
exchange?
for enhancements.
Oh, yeah, the prioritization for,
Yeah, for the roadmap that are,
I have not
okay.
made an attempt with that yet.
Are you asking that question conceptually or actually?
No,
like
I'm
hands-on
asking-
in this
I'm
round?
asking it because well, we're still recording, so I'm not going to give my opinion of that. But the other thing that I will say is I put in my coins and then they kind of go away. So
Mm,
it's not at all conceptual.
gotcha.
sorry, say more, Marty, because I mean,
I put in my coins and there's like, it's now divided into sections.
Yeah.
So I put in my coins in a section and then I say, okay, that's what I did. And then I choose another section and the first section coins disappear. So it's like I never did it. But I have to read, maybe if I read the instructions.
Are you still logged in as you're doing
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I was logged in. So
But-
okay,
Yeah.
I'll try again, ignore me.
The new,
No,
I'm
you're-
having a bad day, so just ignore me.
No. I mean, I think like Squire and I were kind of talking about this before everybody jumped in that, I mean, Salesforce continues to grow and grow and grow with every release, but it's only natural that it's going to exceed its bounds of what it can do. And it's great that they open up the idea exchange to allow us to go in and prioritize and everything, but it's like they're trying to implement agile, like planning poker with your coins.
Yeah,
But it didn't quite fit, or the tabs didn't go into the right slots.
Right.
And it's not for a lack of good intentions, but those are the kinds of things that just raise the flag, raise the question, because you may have unearthed a true bug in the process that they need to know about. Because
right.
if you don't report it, what you get is me getting into Twitter fights with people about why didn't Salesforce do this? Because
yeah.
there's several reasons why they can't.
Yeah,
So,
but sometimes don't you wish they just fixed some of the problems?
well, but they don't know
or
they have the problems
annoyances.
if they don't get reported. That's what I'm saying. So
Oh,
don't
no,
be
but I'm
shy
saying,
about raising
yeah, but
the
how
issue.
about how about some of the things in the idea exchange that have thousands and thousands of points that are just more like I'll call them annoyances for people like us.
Right, which goes, I mean, again, goes back to there's probably a technical reason why they haven't implemented those high point ones, like the formula engine, for example. You don't just enhance the formula engine.
Oh, yeah.
It takes a lot to go into it, but Salesforce never transparently articulates that. So then bringing it back to the coins going away because you jump sections, whatever, that's the kind of bug that they need to know about, because they may not know that that's a problem. Their testing may have been a very specific path, and you found a very applicable use case that broke it, which is fine. They need to know about that.
and it's working for me, Marty. So that's why I'm wondering.
Okay.
Like really quick here, if I do this, where is my, here it is.
So I've chosen I'm logged in, I chose my coins in 3 different sections. And when I click finish prioritizing in each section, then it says remaining coins. But then when I go back to the main thing and finish prioritizing another one, then my original coins are gone. But that's okay. I have another meeting. I thank you very much. I'll play around with it. Yeah. See, like that. So I finished. So if you're very generous, five points.
Well, I just wanted to show it, but like I believe you.
No, yeah. Right.
So
See,
if
I picked 5. I picked a 50. Yeah. So I get that. But then when I do the other one, the next one.
Like if I do this.
Of course, you did activity management,
Right.
accounts and contacts for lightning, leads and updates for lightning. And
All
then our
right.
session.
I'm gonna try that again.
If you're not caught up.
When I click my other one, then my remaining coins.
Yeah.
went back to, I have 50 and 225, so my 50 went back to 75.
Well, but I believe you get 100 per section.
More comfortable.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
think
maybe
that's why
I
you're,
haven't-
like, if I prioritize this app exchange, I haven't
Yeah.
done anything. I haven't used any of my 100 here.
That is not
Oh.
clearly articulated at
No,
all.
plus some of
No.
those sections, I mean, not it, only a percentage of people use the
Well, I mean-
7 or 8 of those sections, but okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I
I can
think
just, so that allows me to vote on things that I don't really care about if I really wanted to be mean.
or more importantly, you skip the stuff you don't care about versus feeling like you have to share them across all the
Yeah, yeah, oh,
Trade-off.
yeah,
If you have one thing, throw all 100 on it.
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah, that's what I did, one in each section of that, the other. Okay, thank you very much.
Alright.
Okay,
But, but that is not
Bye-bye.
articulated at all.
not at all.
Very clear.
That's what I mean. All right,
I'm
thank
glad
you.
we asked. All right, everybody, thanks for visiting. It's great to see you all.
Bye.
Happy Dreamforce
See
to
you next
everybody who's
time.
going.
What's our next day? October?
October 7th.
7.
October 7. October 7. Halloween. Are we gonna have a Halloween theme? Do we wear costumes? No? No.
Go for it, Joy.
I have costumes. I mean, I have to find